The morning light cuts through my floor-to-ceiling windows like champagne. Golden, effervescent, intoxicating. I stand in my Miami beachfront apartment, wearing nothing but a silk robe, coffee cup warming my palms, watching the ocean perform its eternal dance. 6 months ago, I couldn't have imagined this moment. 6 months ago, I was still Mrs. Richard Castellano, living in a beige McMansion in Connecticut, organising charity luncheons I didn't care about, hosting dinner parties for my ex-husband's colleagues, slowly disappearing into the wallpaper of someone else's life. Now I'm just Veronica, 51 years old, divorced, free. I catch my reflection in the glass, not the tentative glance of someone afraid of what they'll see, but a full appraising look. The woman staring back surprises me, still beautiful, still vibrant. My dark hair falls past my shoulders, touched with silver I've stopped colouring out. My body, thanks to morning yoga and regular gym sessions, is strong and curved in ways that make me feel powerful rather than apologetic. Fine lines around my eyes tell stories I'm no longer ashamed of. I look like a woman who has lived, loved, lost, and learned. And I look like a woman ready to live again. The gym where I met Aidan sits 3 blocks from my apartment, all glass and chrome and pulsing electronic music. I'd joined on a whim, part of my reinvention plan. That Tuesday morning, I was attempting to figure out a weight machine when I heard a voice behind me. May I? I turned to find a young man, beautiful in that effortless way some people are, standing close enough to help, but far enough to be respectful. Sandy hair, warm brown eyes, a smile that reached them. He wore a staff shirt that read, Aidan across the chest. Please, I said, stepping back. This thing might actually kill me. His laugh was genuine, unforced. It looks scarier than it is. Here. He adjusted the weights, demonstrated the movement, then watched as I tried it myself. His hands hovered near mine, ready to spot me, never quite touching. Perfect form. You're a natural. Liar, I said, but I was smiling. But I appreciate the encouragement. I'm serious. Most people try to muscle through it. You're using control, breathing properly. You've done yoga, right? How did you know? It shows. In the best way. His eyes met mine and something sparked between us, recognition, curiosity, possibility. I'm Aidan, personal trainer, aspiring photographer, professional optimist. Veronica, recent Miami transplant, aspiring. I'm not sure yet, still figuring it out. The best place to be, he said. And then, after a pause that felt charged with something I couldn't name, would you like to grab coffee after your workout? There's a place down the beach that makes incredible Cuban espresso. I should have hesitated. I should have made excuses. Instead, I heard myself say, I'd love that. And coffee became breakfast. Breakfast became sunset walks on the beach. Sunset walks became dinners at outdoor restaurants where we sat so close our shoulders touched. Where his laughter made me feel lighter than I had in years. Aidan was 26, young enough that I should have felt self-conscious, should have worried about appearances, should have talked myself out of whatever was growing between us. But I didn't, because Aidan didn't treat me like a conquest or a curiosity. He listened when I talked about my divorce, the slow erosion of my marriage, the moment I realized I'd spent 25 years building a life around someone else's dreams. He shared his own stories, moving to Miami after college to pursue photography, working as a trainer to pay the bills, trying to figure out who he was and what he wanted. His maturity surprised me. His kindness undid me. You're radiant, he said one evening as we sat on the beach watching the sun melt into the ocean. Has anyone ever told you that? Not in a very long time. Then they weren't paying attention. He reached over, tucked a strand of hair behind my ear. You light up every room you walk into, it's magnetic. I felt heat rise to my cheeks, actually blushing like a teenager. Aidan, I'm not saying this to flatter you, Veronica. I'm saying it because it's true. You're beautiful. You're interesting. You make me want to be better, do more, Create more. Being around you makes everything feel possible. He kissed me then, soft and slow and full of promise. And for the first time in longer than I could remember, I felt seen. Not as someone's wife or someone's mother, but as myself. Veronica, whole and desirable and alive. I should have known Lucas would find out. Should have anticipated his reaction. My son had always been protective, even as a child. The boy who stood between me and his father during arguments, who called every Sunday from college to check on me, who flew home the weekend I filed for divorce and helped me pack. I loved him fiercely, but somewhere along the way, his protectiveness had curdled into something else, something possessive. The first sign came via text. "Mum, who's this Aiden guy you've been posting about?" I'd shared a photo of us at an art gallery opening, innocent enough, both of us smiling at the camera, his arm around my shoulders. I'd thought nothing of it. "A friend," I replied. "Someone I've been seeing." The dots appeared, disappeared, appeared again. Finally, seeing as in dating. "Mum, he looks like he's my age. He's 26. And yes, we're dating." The response came immediately. "This is insane." "We need to talk. I'm calling you." I didn't answer. Instead, I turned off my phone and poured myself a glass of wine, standing at my windows watching the ocean turn from turquoise to navy in the fading light. I knew this conversation was coming. I'd rehearsed it in my mind 100 times, but I wasn't ready for the reality of it, the disappointment in my son's voice, the judgment I knew would follow. When I finally called him back the next day, Lucas didn't waste time with pleasantries. "Mum, what are you thinking? This guy is 26 years old. He's practically a child." "He's an adult, Lucas. Same as you." "Exactly. He's the same age as me. Doesn't that bother you? Don't you see how weird this is?" I took a breath, counted to 5. "What bothers me is that you're calling to criticize my choices instead of asking if I'm happy. Are you? Happy? Or are you having some kind of crisis?" The words stung more than they should have. "I'm not having a crisis, I'm living my life. For the first time in decades, I'm doing what makes me happy instead of what everyone else expects." "By dating someone half your age? Mom, people are going to talk. Family is going to judge. And this guy, how do you know he's not using you? You're vulnerable right now, and he's probably—" "Stop!" My voice came out sharper than I intended. "You don't know him. You don't know anything about our relationship. And frankly, Lucas, my romantic life is none of your business." Silence on the other end. Then, quietly, "I'm your son. Of course it's my business. I'm trying to protect you." "I don't need protection. I need support. I can't support something I think is a mistake." His voice hardened. "But fine. Do what you want. Just don't expect me to pretend this is normal." He hung up before I could respond. For a week, I didn't hear from Lucas. Then the comments started appearing on Aiden's Instagram, subtle at first, then increasingly aggressive. Questions about his work, his intentions, his interesting choice in companions. Aiden showed me his phone one evening, his face troubled. "Is this your son?" I scrolled through the comments, each one making my stomach tighten. "Yes. I'm so sorry. He's been difficult about us." "Why?" Aiden set down his phone, turned to face me fully. "What did I do wrong?" "Nothing. You've done nothing wrong. He's just—" I struggled for words. "He's protective. And he doesn't understand." "Doesn't understand what? That you're happy? That someone could care about you without ulterior motives?" His voice rose slightly, frustration bleeding through. "Veronica, I don't care about your age. I care about you, the way you see the world, the way you make me laugh, the way you've rebuilt your entire life from scratch with such incredible courage. That's what matters to me." "I know that." "Does Lucas?" "He will. Eventually." But I wasn't sure I believed it. How the harassment escalated, Lucas began showing up unannounced. At the gym where Aiden worked, at the coffee shop where we met most mornings, even once at an art show featuring Aiden's photography. Each time, he'd manufacture a reason. He was in the neighborhood. He wanted to talk. He was concerned. Each time, his presence cast a shadow over everything. The breaking point came on a Friday evening. I'd invited Aidan to dinner at my apartment. Nothing fancy, just pasta and wine and conversation. We were laughing about something, his hand covering mine on the table, when my door buzzer rang. I wasn't expecting anyone. Through the intercom. "Mum, it's me. Buzz me up." I looked at Aidan, saw my own dread reflected in his eyes. "Maybe we should—" "No." I stood, pressed the button. "This ends tonight." Lucas appeared at my door minutes later, his face flushed, his jaw set in that stubborn way I recognized from his childhood tantrums. He walked past me without a word, stopped when he saw Aidan at the table. Cozy. "Lucas, what are you doing here?" "Saving you from making the biggest mistake of your life." He turned to Aidan. "You need to leave. Now." Aidan stood slowly, his movements careful. "With all due respect, this is your mother's home. I think she should decide—" "Don't." Lucas's voice dropped to something dangerous. "Don't tell me about my mother. I've known her my entire life." "You've known her what, 3 months? 4? And in that time, you've isolated her from her family, made her a laughingstock, turned her into—" "Enough!" My voice cracked through the apartment like thunder. "Lucas, that's enough." He whirled to face me. "Mom, can't you see what's happening? This isn't love. This is him taking advantage of your vulnerability. You're lonely after the divorce, you're trying to feel young again, and he's exploiting that. And when you can't give him what he wants anymore, money, status, whatever he's after, he'll leave. And you'll be alone and humiliated and— And what, Lucas? And I'll have lived. And I'll have taken a chance on happiness. And I'll have done something for myself instead of spending every moment worrying about what everyone else thinks. That's not what this is about. Then what is it about? Because from where I'm standing, you're not protecting me. You're punishing me for being happy, for choosing something, someone you don't approve of. He's my age. Lucas's composure cracked, his voice rising to something raw and desperate. "Don't you understand how messed up that is? What people are saying? Aunt Maria called me crying because she's so worried about you. Dad thinks you've lost your mind. Everyone is talking about how you've had a breakdown and—" "Stop." I moved closer to him, my hands shaking but my voice steady. "I don't care what Maria thinks. I don't care what your father thinks. I don't care what anyone thinks except me. For 25 years, I lived according to other people's rules. I dressed how your father wanted. I hosted parties I hated. I smiled through dinners with people who bored me. I made myself smaller and quieter and more convenient until I almost disappeared completely." Tears were streaming down my face now, but I didn't wipe them away. And now, finally, I'm living for myself. I'm dating someone who makes me laugh, who supports my dreams, who treats me like I'm extraordinary. And you want me to give that up because of your embarrassment? Because it makes you uncomfortable? I want you to be safe. I want you to be respected. You want me to be alone. You want me to stay your mom, frozen in amber, never changing, never growing, never wanting anything beyond what you think I should have. I stepped back, putting physical distance between us. "But I can't do that anymore, Lucas. I won't. Then I guess we have nothing more to talk about." His voice was cold now, all the heat drained from it. "You want to throw away your dignity, your reputation, your family? Fine. But I won't be here to watch it happen. Choose him, and you lose me." The ultimatum hung in the air like smoke. I felt Aidan tense beside me, felt the weight of the choice Lucas was demanding. And in that moment, I realized something fundamental. This was never about Aidan. This was about control. About Lucas needing me to stay the person he was comfortable with. The mother who existed only in relation to him. "Then I guess you've made your choice," I said quietly, "because I'm not choosing between you and Aidan. I'm choosing me." Lucas stared at me for a long moment, his face cycling through emotions I couldn't name. Then he turned and walked out, slamming the door hard enough to rattle the windows. The silence that followed felt enormous. Aidan moved toward me, his hands gentle on my shoulders. Veronica, I'm okay. But I wasn't. I was shaking, tears still streaming down my face, my heart hammering against my ribs. I'm okay. You're not. And that's okay too. He pulled me close and I collapsed against him, finally letting myself break. You did the right thing. Then why does it feel so awful? Because it's hard. Because he's your son and you love him. But you're not responsible for managing his feelings, especially when he's trying to control your life. I pulled back to look at him. You're 26. How are you so wise? My mum dated someone 20 years younger than her when I was a teenager. I reacted exactly like Lucas did. Told her she was embarrassing herself. Said horrible things I regretted for years. His smile was sad. She told me the same thing you told him, that her happiness wasn't contingent on my approval. It took me a while, but I eventually understood. And I'm hoping Lucas will too. What if he doesn't? Then you'll still have chosen yourself. And that's not nothing. The next 2 weeks were hard. Lucas didn't call. He didn't text. When I reached out, I got one-word responses or silence. I told myself I'd done the right thing. I repeated it like a mantra. But at night, alone in my apartment, I felt the absence of him, like a phantom limb. This person I'd carried inside my body, nursed through childhood illnesses, cheered through graduations and heartbreaks, now choosing to remove himself from my life because I dared to be happy. Aidan was patient, supportive, never pushing, but always present. We continued our routines, morning workouts, evening beach walks, dinners where we talked about everything and nothing. He showed me his photography, asked my opinion on his compositions, made me feel like my perspective mattered. We went to art galleries and farmers' markets and late-night jazz clubs. He made me laugh. He made me feel beautiful. He made me feel like myself. But there was a shadow over everything, and we both felt it. Then, 3 weeks after the confrontation, my phone rang. Lucas. My hand trembled as I answered. Hello? Mum. His voice was different, softer, uncertain. Can we talk? In person? Yeah, and we met at a coffee shop near my apartment, neutral territory. Lucas arrived first, already seated at a table by the windows when I walked in. He stood as I approached, and I saw how tired he looked, dark circles under his eyes, his shoulders slightly hunched. Hi. His voice cracked slightly. Hi. We sat. For a long moment, neither of us spoke. Finally, Lucas said, I talked to my therapist about what happened, about you and Aidan, about everything I said. I waited. She asked me why it bothered me so much, your relationship. And I had all these reasons ready. The age difference, what people would say, how you might get hurt. But when I actually tried to explain it, I realized none of those were the real reason. He looked down at his hands. The real reason is that I was scared. Of what? Of losing you. Of you changing into someone I didn't recognize. Of not being the most important person in your life anymore. He laughed, but there was no humor in it. Which is incredibly selfish, I know. You've spent your whole life putting other people first. Dad, me, everyone. And the moment you do something for yourself, I punish you for it. Tears burned behind my eyes. Lucas. No. Let me finish. Please. He looked up, met my gaze. I was wrong. About Aidan. About your choices. About everything. I don't get to decide what makes you happy. I don't get to control your life because I'm uncomfortable with your decisions. And I definitely don't get to make you choose between your happiness and my approval. He reached across the table, took my hand. I'm sorry, Mum. I'm so, so sorry. The tears spilled over. I love you so much, but I can't go back to being the person you wanted me to be. That person was disappearing. I was disappearing. I know. I see that now. And I don't want you to go back. I want you to be happy, even if it looks different than what I expected. Even if it makes me uncomfortable sometimes. He squeezed my hand. You deserve to be loved, to be seen, to be radiant. I thought of Aidan using that same word, radiant, and smiled through my tears. Thank you for saying that. I mean it, and I'd like to apologize to Aidan too. If he'll let me. And the three of us met for dinner the following week. Awkward at first, the air thick with unspoken history. But Lucas was genuine in his apology, and Aidan was gracious in accepting it. They found common ground in unexpected places, a shared love of photography, a mutual appreciation for Miami's art scene, similar tastes in music. I watched them talk and laugh, my son and my boyfriend, and felt something settle in my chest, not perfect resolution but the beginning of acceptance. After dinner, we walked along the beach, the three of us. Lucas hung back slightly, giving Aidan and me space while still remaining part of the group. At one point, he called out, "Mom!" I turned. "You look happy, really happy." I smiled, squeezed Aidan's hand. "I am." "Good. That's all I want for you." We continued walking, and I felt the last of the tension drain from my shoulders. Now, standing at my windows, watching the sun rise over the ocean, I think about the journey that brought me here, the courage it took to leave my marriage, the risk of moving to a new city, the leap of faith in opening my heart to someone new, someone unexpected, someone who sees me not as I was, but as I am. Behind me, I hear Aidan stirring in bed. He'll join me soon, wrapping his arms around my waist, kissing my shoulder, asking what I want to do today. Maybe we'll go to the beach. Maybe we'll visit that gallery he's been talking about. Maybe we'll do nothing but sit here and watch the light change, grateful for another day together. Lucas and I text regularly now. He's planning to visit next month, wants to take some photos with Aidan, maybe collaborate on a project. Our relationship is different than it was. Less enmeshed, more respectful. He's learning to see me as a whole person rather than just his mother. I'm learning to maintain boundaries while still loving him fiercely. My phone buzzes. A text from my sister Maria. "Coffee this week? I want to hear all about this Aidan I keep hearing about, and I owe you an apology." I smile, type back. I'd love that. Aidan appears behind me, his arms circling my waist exactly as I imagined. "Good morning, beautiful." I lean back against him, feeling the solid warmth of his body, the steady rhythm of his breathing. Outside, the ocean sparkles like scattered diamonds. Inside, I feel something I haven't felt in years, not just happiness, but wholeness. The sense that I am exactly where I'm supposed to be, living exactly the life I'm meant to live. "What are you thinking about?" Aidan asks. I turn in his arms, rise up to kiss him softly. How radiant I feel. He smiles against my lips. "Good. You should feel that way every day." And standing here in this apartment I chose, in this city I chose, with this man I chose, I know that I will. Not because my life is perfect, or because all my relationships are healed, or because there won't be more challenges ahead, but because I've finally learned the most important lesson of all. My happiness is mine to choose, and I choose this. I choose me. I choose radiant. The sun continues its climb, flooding my apartment with golden light, and I stand in it without hesitation, unafraid, unapologetic, fully and gloriously alive.